Welcome, sports fans, to another Face the Facts Sports Minute, which is presented by Sports Zone 101. We hope everybody is doing well. We have a lot of things to talk about on this Sports Minute, and we do have some great clips that we want to share with you regarding the Bruins, the Celtics, the Red Sox, with some news about their new manager, or interim manager, if you want to call it that. And we also want to talk about the Beanpot, because the Beanpot had a great win from Northeastern, my alma mater, my school, this past week. So we'll talk about that. The first thing we want to talk about is the Boston Bruins. The Bruins had a bad loss this past Sunday against the Detroit Red Wings. That's their second loss now this season, where they have not won against Detroit for some reason. Detroit's it is the worst hockey team in the league, but they just couldn't get the job done. But overall, the Bruins have been playing extraordinarily well since the All-Star break. I happened to be in attendance on Wednesday's game against the Canadians, and it was truly one of the best games that they have had this season. It was filled with a wonderful hat trick from David Pastrnak, now 41 goals on the season. That's just incredible. And also capped off with a great performance from Tuukka Rask in net, and a Patrice Bergeron empty net goal towards the end of the game. We're going to take a look at that clip right now, just to give you just a recap of how that game went. It was exciting, and then we'll talk about it when we come back. So hope you enjoy it.
Torrey Krug denied ice by Jonathan Drouin. He gave it away. Marchand, little dangle through the slot. Pastrnak scores!
You certainly don't want to give these guys the perfection line any opportunities, but this one is a flat-out giveaway right on the tape of Marchand. Dipsy doodles through a couple Canadians. They lose coverage in front of the net, and Pastrnak is not going to miss this.
He goes wide. Petrie, he'll delay. Too long. Sean Pirelli, partial 2-on-1 with Pastrnak for the front. There he is. What a goal!
Wow.
My goodness, what a goal by David Pastrnak, number 40.
I don't think Jeff Petrie is going to have fond memories of this game, or David Pastrnak.
Made a brilliant play. He slowed down just enough to stay on side, and then the composure at the end of a long shift just to go roof daddy on Carey Price.
Patrice Bergeron back for Pastrnak, who has 2 goals tonight. Krug, hammer chance. Price got across. Marchand, they score on the rebound. David Pastrnak with his 4th hat trick of the season. 41 as the hats cascade down, and the Bruins have a 3-1 lead.
Think you can beat me? Play the NHL's Hat Trick Challenge presented by Enterprise.
So that was a heck of a win there from the Bruins. Again, you saw a hat trick from David Pastrnak. A wonderful game for Rask in net. Remember from past games and years past, Tuukka Rask has not been as good against the Canadians for whatever reason, but it seems like those kinks and those bumps that he's had during his career are gone. It was a great game overall. So again, the Bruins are surging right now. They'll look to get back on track against the Red Wings this upcoming weekend when they play them again. I expect nothing short than a win. Hopefully they can figure out how to beat, obviously, the Red Wings and keep on going. They are the number 1 team still in the NHL. Tampa is right behind them. The one thing that Tampa has right now is they have a little bit of an injury bug. They have some guys that are out for a little bit of time. I do know that Kucherov is out. Don't know how serious that injury is going to be. But I expect the Bruins to be the number 1 team here in the NHL to close out this season and get into the playoffs. And I expect another really good ride from them. I mean, you got so close last year to Game 7. Can they do it again? We're going to have to see. You also have the trade deadline coming up. There are some names that have been floated out there that the Bruins may have some interest in. One of those debates going back and forth right now is to bring Jumbo Joe Thornton, back to the Bruins, possibly to end his career. Does the 41-year-old fit in with this team? I don't know if that's the best move. I would look bigger and see if there are other ways of making some things work. I do know that Taylor Hall's name is up there in consideration. Eli Kovalchuk, who is a Canadian, I got a chance to see him on Wednesday night. Didn't really love what I saw there. The Bruins have had a couple rumors about seeing if they can get a fit there. The Bruins got to make a move. I definitely think so. I think the second and third line need a little bit of a boost. So that deadline will be coming up in the next week. So pay attention and see if there are any upcoming moves that the Bruins do make. The next thing that I want to talk about is the Boston Celtics. And the Celtics had a tremendous game the other night against the Clippers where it went to 2 overtimes. And you saw, in my opinion, the best game in his career from Jason Tatum. Completely took over that game. The Celtics did get this win without Jaylen Brown, who was battling a couple bad ankles. They need him to rest up for this second half to get the Celtics into a great position to get into the playoffs. I also really liked from this game against the Clippers. You saw a great performance in my eyes against with Gordon Hayward. He got some clutch shots, especially in that second overtime, which gave the Celtics a nice win. We're going to take a look at that video next, and then we'll talk about it after that.
The LA Clippers finishing up a 4-game road trip on Thursday. They're 1-2 in the first 3 games. They're taking on All-Star Jason Tatum. There's another All-Star in Kawhi Leonard, who was pacing the Clippers early on in this one. He comes up with a steal and then goes coast to coast, splitting 2 Celtics to get the slam. And then Kawhi in the lane with 3 Celtics around him. Makes a tough jumper. Boston, though, led 60-58 at halftime. Marcus Smart got the start in the place of Jaylen Brown, who was out with a calf contusion. Smart hits a deep 3. Then Enes Kanter to Jason Tatum for the reverse. How about Kemba Walker finding Tatum, and Tatum just absolutely flushes it home. Boston by 4. Smart with the steal. Gets it to Gordon Hayward, and Tatum gets 2 more on the other end. 105-99, halfway through the 4th. Back to Kawhi. Clippers playing most of this game without Paul George, left after just 15 minutes, but that hamstring has been still causing him problems. Jason Tatum, tough fadeaway. Boston on top by 3. Marcus Morris, former Celtic, current Clipper, ties it at 114. Chance for the win. Kawhi on the drive gets called for the offensive foul. Kemba taking one in the chin. And then, we've seen Kemba make those shots before, but he could not get it to fall at the end of regulation. We'd head to overtime. Marcus Smart, 5 of 14 from beyond the arc. Lou Williams led LA with 35 off the bench. Here's Tatum. Such composure for a young player. Gets 2 more. And then Walker finds Tatum again. They're going to him every time down the stretch. Celtics by 3. This time it's Landry Shamet tying it up at 127. Last chance for the Celtics here. Tatum has to take a contested step back 3 from deep, and he can't hit it. Double overtime now. How about Kemba Walker? He's going to knock down this step back. He had 19 on the night. Marcus Smart going to get the lay-in here as the ball falls right to him. Smart had 31, and Jason Tatum was even better with 39 hanging and hitting. Smart and Tatum score 16 of the 27 points for the Celtics in the overtime periods. Montrezl Harrell not going down quietly, 24 and 13 for him. And Gordon Hayward going to seal the deal for Boston at home with a 3-ball. 141-133. The Celtics now have won 7 in a row at home and 8 of 9 overall.
That's a great way to end that first half. So the Celtics will be on their All-Star break upcoming. Again, Jason Tatum and Kemba Walker will be representing the Celtics in this year's All-Star game. Just a couple notes from that game, too, from last night. I want to mention Kemba Walker, who made some real clutch shots, too. Didn't want to just single out Gordon Hayward, who I thought really helped get some clutch shots in the game, too. Marcus Smart started in place of Jaylen Brown, did a great job. The one thing of concern, though, is still that injury. Daniel Tice did a nice job at center, But Enes Kanter is going back and forth with this injury bug. It's his hamstring, it's his foot, it's his ankle. He needs some health to hopefully rest up for this All-Star break and get back on the court because they're going to need him. The Celtics did not go out and get anybody at the trade deadline, so what you see is what you get, and they're going to need some good production from these guys to hopefully lead them to a championship. They have a really good shot at this right now, and I'm hoping that they'll get healthy and continue to show the rest of the league that they're one of the best teams in the league. Now I want to change gears, and I want to talk about the Red Sox. In this area right now, the Red Sox are just an utter disgrace. There are so many things going on with this team, with Mookie Betts and David Price getting traded, with an ongoing cheating scandal, with Alex Cora being fired, with ticket prices being at their all-time high for a team that just got rid of one of their marquee best players. It's not looking too promising. Spring training opened this week, and the Red Sox made an announcement about a manager. Their manager is on an interim basis. It's going to be Ron Roenicke, who was Alex Cora's bench coach for the past 2 seasons. I personally am okay with it because, number one, it's on an interim basis, which is telling me that they're not looking at this long term. It also is showing that they needed to make this move to keep things consistent. I think the players are still in a state of shock on Cora not being there. Was a big advocate of Alex Cora, and one of the things that the Red Sox don't know as of yet is this ongoing investigation on the cheating scandal with the sign stealing and everything that's gone on with the Astros from the past couple seasons. There was supposed to be an announcement this week, but we still do not know any clarity on whether the Red Sox will be fined or suspended any players or coaches. So hopefully we'll have some information about that soon. What this is telling me, though, is on the interim basis of Ron Roenicke, why didn't they go outside the organization and hire somebody, or why didn't they make a move where they were thinking long term? I think that you may be seeing Alex Cora back in that Red Sox dugout sooner rather than later. So if Cora gets a 1-year suspension, I could see the Red Sox putting Alex Cora back into play. The Red Sox are obviously denying that right now because obviously that would look bad if they don't know what the penalty is going to be for them. But that is what my prediction is that Cora will be back either for the second half of 2020 or if it's a 1-year suspension for the 2021 season. And I think that the players will really enjoy having Alex Cora come back because he did do a very nice job as manager. Right now we're going to listen to Chaim Bloom. He is the new Red Sox baseball operations director, GM, all that. We're going to hear his take on all things Red Sox right now. So enjoy, and then we'll talk about it in just a sec.
Chaim Bloom joins us now. Chaim, it's Brian Kenny. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Chaim, great respect for your baseball acumen. So, again, with all your years with the Rays, when you first evaluated the Red Sox roster, the payroll and everything, what was your initial assessment of it all?
Well, obviously I spent a long time in this division, competed against this team for a long time, and it's a really talented group, and that was apparent as an opponent. That's how I came in the door, thinking here, and I know the staff here feels the same. I think our priority this winter has been to make sure that we put ourselves in a position to continue to compete consistently as far out as the eye can see and make sure we're set up to do this year in and year out.
What do you think? Because at one point you said, I think just this week, the competitive balance tax wasn't a motivator, at least not the prime motivator in the Betts trade. So how close was it to you riding out that last year with Mookie Betts under contract?
Yeah, when I got here, I said this a number of times. I certainly expected he would be here with us. Obviously, we would have loved that, in a vacuum, so to speak. But of course, at the same time, we have to be open to anything that we think helps our franchise and helps our larger objectives. And you mentioned the competitive balance tax. Obviously, financial flexibility is important, and using our resources wisely is really important to accomplishing that goal of competing every year. But at the end of the day, the talent base is the most important thing to doing that, and we were able to get a great infusion of young talent into our organization. And when you combine that, with the financial flexibility that we created, we think this sets us up well to compete not just in 2020, but also much more effectively in the years ahead.
But then what about, Chaim, there were those who would say, I'd even think this way, if you really wanted to win this year and you thought you had a real shot, you would play it out with Mookie Betts. Then you're in better shape going forward. Why not play it out with Mookie Betts if you thought you had a real shot this year?
Well, and we certainly did, and we still do. I think, in this case, and that was certainly an option, as I mentioned, it was an option that I thought would be what we ended up doing. But when we had a chance to bring back the return that we did, and looking at, that we still felt we would be competitive this year and how much better we would be positioned in the years ahead, both with the talent and the financial flexibility, we just thought it was the best course for, achieving our bigger objective of winning as much as possible, not just in 2020, but in all the years ahead. So we certainly, considered that, but at the end of the day, we felt, this was going to help us win more in the long run.
How close in the process was trading Mookie Betts solo for maximum return without attaching David Price and his contract in there?
Yeah, and it's probably not fair of me to get into too deep into hypotheticals, but I will say, obviously as trades unfold, there's a lot of different things that happen in negotiations, and you have to consider the entire trade in its totality, and that's what we did as we worked through this process. But I will say, whatever financial flexibility we picked up, from moving David, while obviously something we considered and was a factor, the overwhelming factor here was, what we felt this did, for our talent base, looking out over the long haul.
It's a complicated deal, and it turned out to even be more complicated like a couple of days later, right? So you're dealing with your old boss, Andrew Friedman. How was that dynamic? Because you guys must be thinking, he's trying to fleece me. I know what this guy's up to. Like, how did that work out between the two of you?
Well, especially in such a complicated deal, there were a lot of twists and turns. I think both our wives got angry that we were probably talking to each other more than we were talking to them over the course of the week. But you know what? Andrew is not just a great mentor. He's one of my greatest friends in this game, and so there's a lot of familiarity there. I have a ton of respect for him, obviously, and I think because of the familiarity, we were able to discuss things pretty freely. And when you're trying to execute a complicated deal, the more transparent the discussions can be, the better off you are, and the more likely you're going to be able to get to an agreement. So I do think the relationship really helped in that regard.
Chaim, one last thing. Ron Roenicke named interim manager. I'm still confused as to why. If he tells you he's clean, he's not going to turn up in this investigation, why couldn't you name him manager ahead of the commissioner's report?
Yeah, and we certainly have no reason to think that anything adverse, for Ron will come out of this. But, we recognize that we are under an MLB investigation, and we need to respect that process. And so we thought that the best way to respect the process was to put the interim tag on Ron. And when the investigation is complete, we'll address the question of permanence then.
Okay. Chaim Bloom there. A lot of questions to ask with the Boston Red Sox. Chaim, best of luck. Thanks for joining us today.
So there you have it from Chaim Bloom. They were able to talk a lot about the feelings on if they were going to keep Mookie long term, or if this trade was going to be something that was orchestrated from the very beginning when Chaim Bloom began. From the screen here, you're able to see, while I break away from it for a second, you're able to see the trade breakdown again. And you see Mookie Betts and David Price, and then cash considerations were traded to the Dodgers. In return, the Red Sox got outfielder Alex Verdugo, shortstop, second baseman combination there, Jeter Downs, and then catcher and a little bit of infield there, Connor Wong. I don't love this trade for a couple different reasons, but I also can understand why they did it. Obviously, they needed a little bit of flexibility on their payroll. Mookie was going to be about a $30 million player on their budget, and then you have David Price's huge contract, which would be $96 million still owed to him over 3 seasons. They were able to cut that in half, so getting $48 million off the books was a huge salary relief for the Red Sox, so they didn't have to go over the luxury tax. A lot of people have been coming back and forth and talking about this with me on this team's has a $1 billion owner, can go out and afford pretty much anybody that they want. The problem is the penalty. This penalty, if the Red Sox did go over that luxury, it hurts the team long term because they don't have a higher draft seeding. And it also, with that fine, can put the Red Sox back many years too. What they were able to do is sending Mookie and David Price to the Dodgers, it freed up some other areas of need that the Red Sox needed to focus their attention on. One of which was just signing outfielder Kevin Pillar, which I'm a big advocate for. I think that fit's going to be perfect for what the Red Sox need. Right-handed bat, great glove. Could that mean that Jackie Bradley gets out of here? It could. I would 100% do that in a minute. I think many people know my stance on Bradley. Great glove, but bat, I could hit better than him. The other thing that I also look at here is getting Jeter Downs is one of the better prospects for the Dodgers. And I really like this Connor Wong guy. He's a catcher, but he's also flexible with going to different positions. Kind of reminds me of a better Blake Swihart. So maybe he has some potential to fill a need that the Red Sox need. The move that I don't love is Alex Verdugo. And here's a guy who has a bad back. He has a history of some poor off-field behavior. The jury's still out on him. I think he's a little bit redundant to Andrew Benintendi. We'll have to see how it works. But right now, there is no guarantee that Alex Verdugo is even ready to begin the season. So you're already getting one player who could be damaged goods. I'm just hoping that it's not anything too severe, because otherwise this deal looks very bad. The other thing is this gets rid of another arm, another person in the rotation. As much as David Price was a head case, who else is they're going to be there for starting pitching for the Red Sox? You have a very questionable Chris Sale. Nathan Eovaldi has his health concerns. Will Eduardo Rodriguez come back and throw like he did last season? And then you have no Rick Porcello, who was pretty much your innings eater and durable starter. So there are a lot of question marks heading into this season that I'm not feeling that confident with that. You also have some players who, could they be impacted by Cora's departure? I know Devers had a career year, same with Bogarts. What does the season look like without Alex Cora in the fold for these guys? So we're going to have to see what happens with the whole investigation and play it out a little bit, but that's how you look right now. The 2020 Red Sox have a lot of question marks ahead. What will they do? Well, they have spring training to figure it out, and hopefully things will be on the up for them. The last thing I want to talk about before we wrap up our Sports Minute here, actually longer than a minute, it's really our sports show, is the Beanpot from Northeastern. Northeastern was in the Beanpot for the 3rd consecutive year and was able to win it. And that's something that Northeastern hadn't won a Beanpot since way back in 1988 from these prior 3 years. That was my school that I went to, so congratulations goes out to them. And we're going to take a look at their little highlight reel of how they won the Beanpot this past week. So take a look.
And just like that, it's 2-0 Terriers. An amazing tournament. As this one comes on in front, Madden scores! You felt it coming! Joseph shoots, he scores! And the Huskies have tied this game up. Solo fires in, he scores! Shot, score! What a period for the Huskies! Final seconds, winding down, Wise sends it in front,
fires again. His wrister score!
So there you have it there for the Huskies. That's the third Beanpot in a row that the Northeastern Huskies have won. Great call there, too, by Tom Caron and Billy Jaffe from Nesson. You could really sense the enthusiasm and their professionalism from that broadcast. They had been recognized for doing such a great job on that telecast this past week, so kudos goes out to them for that. The last thing I want to mention before we do wrap up our sports show here is that we have February vacation programs upcoming here at Sports Zone. We hope that you do want to get a chance to participate. We will be in the community of Wakefield at the Civic Center, community of Stoneham at the Colonial Park School, in Tewksbury at the Ryan School. We'll be in Amesbury as well, and in Linfield doing some specialty style programs. So we do hope to see you then. Some of our locations do have our drop-in option, our daily option. You can find all that information about programs and everything right at our website at www.sportzone101.com. We hope everybody has a great February break. And we also hope to see you again next time on another episode here of Face the Facts, which is presented again by Sports Zone 101. We'll see you next time, and goodbye.